When 12 battle-hardened warriors attempted to cross an ancient bridge shrouded in mist, they thought they were heading home after 20 years of war. But some crossings demand more than courage. They require a price that was never paid. Tonight, we journey into a realm where the living and the dead blur, where time itself becomes a trap, and where a river holds secrets that should never be disturbed. This is the River of Lost Souls.
The war was over. The Empire had collapsed in on itself, devouring its own generals in the final throes of paranoia and desperation. The battles were done. The blood dried. Nothing left to conquer. 12 warriors remained from the Legion, once 300 strong. They walked together, their armor battered, cloaks heavy with old blood and the stink of smoke. Their commander, Corin, a man with a voice like gravel and a gaze like iron, led the way. Home was north, through the riverland mist, over the stone bridge of Kaelmore, and past the dark woods of Irna. They would be home by the end of the week, or so they believed. They reached the river on the third day. It was swollen and slow-moving, wrapped in a veil of pale mist. The bridge ahead, once mighty and well-kept, sagged in disrepair. Ivy had crept up the stones. The planks were damp and blackened.
We cross now,
Corin said, not bothering to hide the unease in his voice.
Storms will come. We move.
They crossed single file. The planks creaked beneath their boots. The mist thickened the deeper they got, swallowing the rear and dulling even the sound of water below. Halfway across, Meros, the youngest, whispered,
"Do you hear that?"
"Hear what?"
Gelen asked.
"Voices."
They paused. No wind, no birds. But underneath it all, yes, a murmur, like whispers behind a door. Corin didn't stop.
Keep walking.
By the time they reached the other side, the mist was so thick they could barely see each other. But the ground was solid. The river was behind them. The trees were familiar. The sun had broken through, weak but present. Relief came quickly. Laughter, even. Gelen clapped Meros on the back.
"Just the fog playing tricks, boy."
But the road ahead was wrong. The path to Irna should have curved east, but it went straight into a grove of black pines none of them remembered. The air was colder than it should have been. The sky, though clear, felt dimmer. They reached the outskirts of Irna by dusk. Except it wasn't Irna. It looked like it. Same shape of the land, same hill by the mill, same bend in the stream. But the houses were smaller. The wood was newer. A watchtower stood where there had never been one before. And the people, those few walking the muddy street, stared at the warriors like they were ghosts. Corin approached a man hauling a cart of hay.
Where is this?
The man looked at him, confused. "What do you mean?"
This town. It's Irna, isn't it?
The man frowned. "Aye, it is. Who are you?"
We fought in the war.
Corin said.
We've come home.
The man stared. "What war?" Corin's face darkened.
The Empire's war. The Southern Front. 20 years fighting.
Empire? The man blinked. There's been no empire in 100 years. That night, the warriors sat in the woods just outside the town, silence between them heavy as snow.
"Could it be true?"
Meros asked, voice trembling.
"Could that much time have passed?"
"No,"
Gelen growled.
"That's madness."
Corin didn't speak. He stared at the river far below, now just a ribbon of silver in the moonlight. They tried the next town the following day, and the next after that. Each one was the same. People didn't know them. History didn't match. Their names meant nothing. Maps were wrong, roads unfamiliar, and worse, some of the warriors began to change. Thorin, the giant of the group, who had once lifted a warhorse during a siege, grew thin in a matter of days. His armor hung on him. His voice cracked when he spoke. Derim, once a quiet man with a kind face, woke screaming one night, clawing at his eyes, claiming to see the river's mouth. They found him at dawn by the bank, staring into the water, lips blue with cold. One by one they unraveled. By the 7th day, half were dead. Not by blade, not by illness, but by the river. It drew them back. Always back. Corin forbade anyone from returning. He threatened to kill Meros when he caught him walking toward it in a trance.
It's not a river.
He spat.
It's a wound.
But even he knew they hadn't crossed. Not really. The bridge had disappeared the morning after they arrived. Gone. Not broken, not washed away. Gone like it had never been there. Meros began speaking in a voice that wasn't his. Quiet, hollow, like something speaking through a mouth not meant for it.
We crossed, but we didn't pay.
Shut up.
Gellin hissed.
Stop saying that.
We didn't pay.
Meros whispered.
We took life. We spilled blood. The river knows.
Corin tried to rally them.
We've been cursed, that's all. A trick, a spell. We can find a way back. There's always a way.
But the lands twisted. Paths looped. Forests reset. Landmarks moved. Time became unreliable. They'd walk a whole day and end up where they began, the fire from the previous night still warm, their footprints undisturbed. The dead didn't stay buried. Thorin's grave appeared each morning, freshly dug, but empty, and the mist returned. Even without the river nearby, it found them. Thin veils at first, then choking walls of white that whispered and moved. One night, Gellin was taken. They heard him shouting, sword drawn, fighting something in the fog. By the time they reached him, his armor lay in a heap, slashed from the inside. No blood, no body. Now only 4 remained. Corin, Meros, Harl, Bren. They stopped speaking, eating. Hope was no longer a word that held shape. Meros finally broke. He stood at the edge of the river, staring into it, speaking to it.
It was never meant to carry the living back,
He said.
Only the dead. Only the dead can cross freely.
Corin grabbed him, shook him.
What are you saying?
Meros smiled.
I think we died. On the bridge. Halfway. That's where we stayed.
He turned to the others.
We're specters,
He said.
but we didn't know it.
That night, Corin sat alone by the fire, sharpening his blade, his mind unraveling. He thought of the battle, the last one, how they'd been ambushed near the cliffs, how the river had called to him even then, how he'd sworn they'd survive, how he'd led them across without offering anything to the old gods of the land. No coin, no blood, no name. He realized Meros was right. The river didn't forgive, and it didn't forget. 1 year later, a woman walking the misted banks near Erna swore she saw figures in the fog, warriors, 12 of them, trudging silently along the water's edge, faces grey, eyes hollow. She said one of them turned to her and whispered,
Have you paid your price?
The river behind him flowed quietly, endlessly, and then they vanished. Some say they're still trying to cross. Others believe they made it, but left something behind. something that's looking for a way in. Either way, the villagers no longer use the bridge, because the mist never leaves now, and the river hungers for more, always more.
Thanks for watching Bedtime Horror. If this story sent chills down your spine, hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe for more spine-tingling tales. Now, before you fall asleep tonight, I want to hear from you. Have you ever had your own brush with the supernatural? Share your real paranormal encounters in the comments below. You never know, your story might just become our next bedtime horror. Until next time, good night.